Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Now, we've got an article coming here which goes to show and really highlights one of the most wonderful, marvellous things about Humza Yousaf. And that, of course, is his natural, innate, and almost perfect stupidity. We all know the man's a moron. Every time he opens his mouth, he just, open it goes, and the stupid comes flying out. And of course, he's done it again. He's given us a marvellous thing here. And we need to hold him to his words because he is so amazingly thick that these words will come back, not just to haunt him, but to bite him very firmly on his very overpaid backside. He has said that Rishi Sunak should not allow Suella Braverman to resign and that he must fire her. She must be sacked. And that is a very brave thing to say when you are in charge of the SNP, surrounded by fools, incompetents and criminals. And you're not allowing them to resign now. You can't let them resign. You're going to have to fire them. And boy, where do you start? Well, Matheson, that's where you start. You're going to have to get the fondler and fire him. And that, of course, would be the very least of it. That's only the start. Never mind all the other things that are likely to hit over the next few days. But if you are going to sit there and tell Rishi Sunak that he mustn't allow people to resign and he must fire them, then show willing, Humza, show willing. Start by looking at your own home. Put your own house in order first and let's start firing at least half your cabinet. We'll have a quick look, but we'll just laugh our way through it. The man is a moron. Here goes. It is always good watching idiots in action, isn't it? You just sit there and it's like, here we go. He's going to say it, isn't he? He's going to say it. Bang, there we go. I knew he'd say it. And that's what you get with him. All the time, every day, mouthy open, stupid out. Honestly, you never tie yourself to something for which you can be tied up yourself. Don't be sitting there and calling for Rishi Sunak to fire Suella Braverman when your own cabinet is even way worse. And yet you don't have the balls to fire any of them. Old Ken doll, smooth at the front. Not much going on there. Not much going on in here, though, either, is there? Anyway, Humza Yousaf says Suella Braverman should be sacked and not allowed to resign. The First Minister said some on the far right attacked the police because of Braverman fanning the flames of division. He hasn't defined what far right means. He means anyone who's even an inch to the right of his Marxist ideologies. They're not far right. Ex-soldiers, a lot of them. They're not far right. Anyway, Humza Yousaf has called for Tory Home Secretary Suella Braverman to be sacked and not allowed to resign. Well, OK, can we call for him to be sacked and not allowed to resign? Can we call for Michael Matheson to be sacked and not allowed to resign? How about Shona Robinson? Another one, lied to Parliament. How about Humza sacks everyone who's ever lied to the Scottish Parliament, including himself, and then doesn't allow any of them to resign? And that's just the beginning. That's just the beginning. Who are you going to replace them with? Because they're all bloody monsters, pervs and incompetents. There's not one of them that's any good. Anyway, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is facing intensifying calls to sack Braverman after far-right protesters attacked police on Saturday. They haven't supplied any proof that these guys are far-right, of course. They haven't said that at all. However, I would also point out that Rishi Sunak dare not fire her because he would end up splitting the party. There's an awful lot of people in the Tory party who agree with what she's saying. And what is more, there's an awful lot of people in the country that agree with what she is saying. And he knows that. He isn't going to fire her. He can't. He daren't. I mean, he's already checked out as Prime Minister. He knows that. He's already gathering his unpaid taxed billions, or his untaxed billions, should we say. And he's getting ready to fly with his little green card. He knows his days are numbered and that he's on his way out. So he isn't going to push. He isn't going to do anything now. He daren't. Anyway, the Home Secretary has been accused of inflaming tensions after she branded pro-Palestinian protesters hate marchers. Well, I read the placards, and so yes, hate. They're the ones calling for genocide. They're the ones calling for the death and destruction of Israel. That's hate. And so she's not wrong. And she accused the police of bias for letting the rally go ahead on Remembrance Weekend. And again, the police were biased. They were seeing these things and they didn't dive in and arrest the people. Oh no, but they'll arrest what they call the far right because the far right are an easier target than the Muslims. The police, see, they're like Ken doll, nothing at the front. The First Minister said some on the far right attacked the police because of Braverman fanning the flames of division. No. She didn't fan them. She merely highlighted the fact that there are some people in the world who believe in civilization and some people in the world who are barbarians. And that is the difference. Yousaf told journalists as he arrived at Remembrance Day commemorations in Edinburgh on Sunday morning. The result of that, of course, is, as we saw, individuals on the far right actively attacking the police. Well, what about individuals on the far left? They actually do that as well. But you never hear a word out of that, do you? You never hear a peep out of that because the little Marxist doesn't like to accept it. He said, I'm afraid the Home Secretary's position is, in my view, untenable. I believe Michael Matheson's view is untenable. What are you going to do about that one, Humza? Going to fire him? Not going to let him resign, I take it. You're the one tying yourself to his mast, as it were. Boom, boom. Know what I mean? Wink, wink. And yet, he might end up having the most awful stuff on that iPad, and you have aligned yourself to it. Although it doesn't surprise me in your case. You have history. Anyway, Tory Defence Secretary Grant Shapps did not back Braverman's survival as Home Secretary for another week when speaking to the BBC's Laura Kunsberg show on Sunday morning. He said a week's a long time in politics when he asked whether his cabinet colleague will stay in her role until next weekend. Rishi Sunak dare not fire her. There's already people saying that if she goes, they go, and they're prepared to leave the party over it. Not a good look, is it, Rishi? Not a good look. Sunak has so far maintained confidence in Braverman even after a week in which ministers also distanced themselves for her claims that homelessness was a lifestyle choice. There's been a speculation that the Prime Minister will carry out a ministerial reshuffle which could see her move, but not before Wednesday's Supreme Court ruling on the Rwanda deportation policy which she has championed. If they win that, this is a really weird thing, because if they win, I'll probably do a piece on that come Wednesday, so a little heads up there. But if they win that, it screws the left over entirely. There's nowhere else for them to go. Supreme Court, nothing higher. If they lose it, they've already threatened they're going to come out of the European Convention on Human Rights and go again. And then there's no case to answer. So either way, I think it's going to happen. And the left are going to lose their shit. Anyway, her article in The Times, in which she claimed officers play favourites towards pro-Palestinian mobs, was disowned by Downing Street. Only because they couldn't argue against it. That's the only reason they were disowning it. They couldn't come up with a convincing argument to say it didn't happen because, hey, we all know. Because the police, Ken Dolling, I'm going to go in there and arrest them because I'll be accused of phobia. Load of shit. Braverman was sacked by then Prime Minister Liz Truss for breaking the ministerial code last year, but she was reappointed 5 days later when Sunak took over. Against the wishes of the party, against the wishes of the members, against the wishes of everyone, except that bunch of trough-feeding pigs in Parliament. And so the billionaire who doesn't pay tax, whose green card, days are numbered, ready to go, ready to piss off, we won't miss him. I wonder which failure will come next. I hope it's Jacob Rees-Mogg, though. That'll be funny. Anyway, there we go. So a man calling for other people to sack people because of whatever, don't let them resign, and then he is backing Michael Matheson, a man who may have a lot worse things than that woman ever has. Be interesting in the next few days, won't it? Coming up. So Humza the idiot has now set the precedent. You don't allow bad politicians the option of resigning them. He says they must be fired. Let's see how many he fires, because I don't think he will. We know he won't. He hasn't got the balls. He hasn't got the leadership ability. He's not really a leader. He's just the man keeping the seat warm, isn't he? Until someone else comes along who is capable. He's certainly not. And he's an idiot. Why would you say these things? Why would you not sit there and think before I said them, I better consider what I'm saying? No, not Humza, because, IQ of a shoe. Oh well, I'll stop there. Thank you very much for watching. It's probably the last one of the day unless something massive happens. So finish the weekend, enjoy it there. We'll start bright and breezy tomorrow morning, whole new week. 6 weeks till Christmas. We're on the countdown. I bought my first Quality Street today. I don't think they're going to make it till Christmas though. Anyway, till tomorrow. Thanks very much. Goodbye.